Steve Wozniak, thank you for joining Lateline. Last year you were a signatory to an open letter of concerns about artificial intelligence and autonomous weapons. Do you still hold those same fears?
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of a pacifist, and I'm kind of against a lot of weapon use, at least without thought and without really proper cause. And I do not believe that artificial intelligence is for a very long time like a human brain that can have like a moral conscience yet. And it's very scary to make autonomous weapons that are just following some programmed set of instructions because, you know, even when you're driving a car, there is no one set of rules. If you get a situation that wasn't supposed to be in, a lane is closed off, you have to do something against the rules.
Yeah, you've said that, though, if AI does, make it onto the scene, then the computers are eventually going to work out that they need us. So you're a bit optimistic that they're not going to wipe us out in some dystopian Skynet type future?
A lot of people call AI what is still short of a human brain, of making final decisions. For example, we're talking about machines that can learn to do things very well and figure them out and become better than humans at thinking, like better than a brain, but they don't tell themselves, here's what I should be trying to come up with doing. Here's what I should be trying to do. They aren't at that level of a reason behind things yet. So I think we're going to be calling things artificial intelligence too early.
Apple just turned 40. Are you surprised at how dominant computers have been when they've been combined with the connectivity of the internet? And have you ever told your kids to get off their damn phones?
I'm surprised. I would never tell a kid to get off their phones. Any kid doing anything technical, addicted to a computer, addicted to a game, no. Let them go and find themselves in the world. Don't force your values on them. So I'm maybe rare as a parent that way. As far as how far computers have gone in our lives, unbelievable, hard to imagine it when you didn't imagine there'd be enough memory for a song in a computer. You didn't imagine there would be an internet. You didn't imagine there'd be cell phones. You didn't imagine that cellular could eventually carry the internet data and become as fast as it is. So broadband plus internet, those were very hard things to imagine. We did imagine that almost everyone in the world could have a computer helping them with some of the things in their daily life. So we did envision it to be very, very big and huge. And what surprises me about Apple turning 40 is we didn't know anything about business. We didn't know that companies don't make it to 40. They change their name, they get bought out, they die off, So, but we just thought you start a company, if it's successful, it lasts for 100 years.
And now
so we're the rare case. We're actually the rare case that did.
Yeah, and now it's the largest company in the world. I know the Financial Times did some comparisons on what if Apple was a country, and it was the 65th biggest economy in the world. But does that power worry you at all?
No, because I don't consider economic value of something to be its power. Its power is really its influence on the world and ability to do good things and enhance life. And who's got the bulk of one company's name has a very large amount of the world's resources. It's a tiny percentage of everything in life anyway.
So we shouldn't be worried about non-democratic institutions like companies becoming equal gorilla in the zoo to democratic countries.
I do worry about it a little because I was once a little young tinkerer and trying to design stuff and be an entrepreneur. A young entrepreneur doesn't want to be shut out. You don't have a way to get in and do the things the big companies have. The big projects that make sense now often need millions and millions and tens of millions, if not hundreds, of investment. And the funny thing is, though, what do you have? After Apple, you've got Facebook coming out of just starting on an idea in a dorm, something that makes sense, ideas that make sense. A lot of the world is software. A lot of it is apps. A lot of it is programs. And they could easily be done by individuals, and they surprise us when they happen. The trouble is a lot of categories. If, let's say, you developed a neat little program, a little device that shaves better than ever, well, a big company could just buy you out, too. You see, once a company is as large as Apple, it can look around and say, ooh, we missed the boat in some areas, so we'll just buy our way into it. You can hold your position for a lot. Having a lot of wealth gives you a lot of restarts. People talk about failures being the steps that lead to your great success. Well, you can buy a lot of failures if you have the money. I do wish that governments ran themselves like Apple does. Saving great amounts, great stashes of money for the rainy day.
Yeah, also, in that dynamic, that role and that power that Apple has, it's also being the target for some governments, like the FBI, trying to unlock the iPhone. It didn't succeed in the terrorism case, but now they're looking at it in a case of a drug dealer in Brooklyn. Should Apple respect that privacy at all costs or cooperate with the authorities?
Apple being large is not why the government is against Apple. They're against Apple because they're looking for a way that somebody who manufactures a product force them to manufacture it your way so that it gives up security. And cybersecurity is the greatest threat we have now. We used to fear the atomic bomb when I was young, and you'd walk home from school and sirens would go off for a test on every corner. Those were incredible days of fear for something. And now we fear all the cyber attacks and hacking. What's the next one we're going to hear about? Is one going to come close to me? Is it going to hit me? Could they really take out our electrical system, turn off our internet? How far can it go? And it's getting worse and worse year by year, not better and better. And cybersecurity means you've got to develop computers and products that are secure, and that's ultimately important. And, what if the FBI was able to go to any company anytime they felt like and say, you have to build a product our way? I don't think that's right. I believe in people that have brains and ideas developing products and making them as good as they can, and that's where it comes from. You know what? What if the FBI can't get into a phone? They've still got all the records in this recent case. They get all the records from the phone company of every communication that was made, every SMS message that was sent, what was in the message, who they called. And so that's the communication is what they're worried about. And being able to get in and penetrate a phone, if that phone is open, hackers are going to do it too.
Given the extent that we use technology now from when we were both growing up, it's just so different. Have we reached a point where there is no privacy anymore?
Yeah, well, we've pretty much given it up. Cameras everywhere, and our credit card, and almost every action we take and where we go. We pretty much have acknowledged to giving up a lot of that. But I'll tell you what, would you give me your phone? I'll give you the money to buy a brand new one, and give me your password for a couple of days just so I could...
Well, you seem pretty trustworthy. I'd give you my phone.
Okay, and I'll get into all your little details and your pictures and this and that, and maybe your history and your past. But actually, people do keep a lot of private things and have a right to private things. I have a right to private thoughts, too. I don't want somebody knowing how I feel about certain things. That's who I am. And we got to retain a little bit of our humanness. Now, the FBI could also get a warrant and go into a house secretly and install cameras and videotape, watch people. They have a lot of ways, if there's enough evidence, to snoop on them. It shouldn't be like they can come in, after the fact and say, can we find something? What? It's not going to stop a crime. Crime happened.
Now, if I could just briefly move to Australia, because I keep reading that you intend on coming to live here. Is that true?
It's a great dream of mine. Right now, I have a type of life that is constantly traveling, and it's very hard to locate in Sydney. If I didn't have that life, I would have a residence here. My son, though, has moved here, and he's an Australian, and my first granddaughter is here in Sydney, 3 months old, and she's an Australian and American.
The Australian government, the Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, has innovation right at the centre. He says it's a critical theme for Australia. How do you think Australia is going internationally when you look at their attitude towards innovation and ideas?
Mm-hmm. In my travels to Australia, I go to places where people are talking about innovation and its importance, but I also hear about things where Australia feels that they're behind the rest of the world in a lot of ways. It hasn't been the heart of their economy in the past. I don't really know. I don't live here, and I'm not close enough to really talk about the Australian economy in those terms. I'm for innovation because the future, almost everything in the world, almost any kind of business you have, it's becoming digitized. It's becoming digital. You could start with one company that has a success, and it'll spin out other companies maybe. And it grows organically. That's how it happened for Silicon Valley. That sort of thing is being tried by kind of forceful government setting up. We're going to set up the facilities, and it often has to start with a university, a good university where a breadth of the disciplines needed to develop technology products are taught.
Now, I know you're very passionate about STEM education, and you even teach fifth graders, don't you?
When I taught kids, I was teaching very young primary school kids, and I taught them. I decided I don't want to teach them a technology subject because then I would only be appealing to a few of them that like to go in that direction, that like mathematics, for example. So I said, well, wait a minute. Computers, digital stuff really doesn't have higher level mathematics, but the important thing in school for school kids is all the subjects in school, your homework leads to your grades. It leads to how the teacher thinks about you. So I took all the subjects in school whenever I could. Here is how you can apply a computer to figuring out answers, to helping you write things, to using design and graphics to make things look kind of professional and not like a little kid. Start with your little kid stuff, but then learn some of the techniques. So how do you make your homework look good was the prime purpose of my class. But computers have to be fun. And to be educated, you aren't going to get educated if it's boring. It's just stuff I have to learn. I don't know why. So I built a lot of fun into my class. And one of the most fun things of all was networks were important. Being able to reach out to other people even before the internet was here. This is before. AOL, America Online, was only on Macintoshes, and thank God we were using Macintoshes. So AOL, every kid had a little AOL thing, and to watch them start to learn how to type. This was before kids were taught keyboarding. Learn how to keyboard very slowly, but they became different people. It will enhance their life so much, and it was like seeing the future. Through my kids in my classes, I often saw the future of what other people would be encountering. I was just early, a little ahead of it. As a matter of fact, at 1 year, I even bought these things before Wi-Fi was here. Little radios that they could plug into their computer, and they wouldn't have to run wire to wire to wire up all their computers to be on the same network, talking to each other. Now they could do it with radios. So I told Steve Jobs about that, and he always gave me credit for inspiring him to do the airport at Apple.
What do you think would help increase the number of kids who study those STEM subjects? Here in Australia, because it's so important to us.
Teachers who make it fun and let you think up your own projects and give you encouragement to try to do something and let you go on your own and not necessarily be graded for it and not necessarily being told, Johnny always has the best answer and he's ahead of you. How do you structure the class? So it's a lot of personality of a teacher and caring. One-on-one, you can never lose. One teacher, one student. Never lose. The teacher always, if the teacher's good, always knows what they've learned so far and how to take them up the next step, how to challenge them to do some things on their own. You want to eventually get to where they can create and not just memorize and repeat answers and check off answers that are out of a book, because those aren't your own answers. That's really, how do you develop the brain to be able to think very, very logically and well and deal with society? I worry mostly about the kids that get sort of turned off early and drop out. Teachers tell me that at 8 years old, you can tell which kids are giving up on school and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, you must have been all right at 8 years old then.
I was no. I did mathematics flashcards faster than the girls, and a teacher said, "First time a boy ever beat the girls." Man, I knew I was good at something.
All right. Well, congratulations on 40 years of Apple, Steve Wozniak. Thanks for being on Lateline.
Thank you for having me.